was something that they would say, oh,
Hello, Tega. All right, while we wait for.
I think it was network that just did that to me just now.
That's really bad. Okay, okay.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so the statistics says that in 2019, 15 million Nigerians between the ages of 15 and 64 have used substance for non-medicinal purposes, psychoactive substance for non-medicinal purposes. And out of this 15 million, 1 in 4 is a female. Now, that was 2019, but this is 5 years later. One thing I know for a fact is that it has progressively increased. 1. 2, the gap that we are talking about between 15 and 64 has widened. We have children as young as 8 using drugs now. I went to a secondary school to do an outreach, and I was telling them that I wanted to talk to only the secondary school students. And the principal said no, that I must start with the primary school. And I insisted because I have an experience with substance use, first-hand experience. I was under drug use influence for 13 years, and it started in my secondary school. So I was still of the opinion that in secondary school, my age, maybe like 13, 14, because I started smoking and drinking at age 14. I thought maybe that was the age, but the teacher told me to go to primary school. I was so sure that it was not true. But when I got there and I started having the conversation, I asked them what drugs they know, because I'm a UNODC trained official. And then I'm asking them, because they tell us not to tell them about the drugs. We don't pick their curiosity. So instead of picking their curiosity, what I do is that I ask questions. And so I asked a few of them if they know what drugs do you know? And then all of them started calling drugs. If there were 100 students, let's say only 2 said vitamin C and paracetamol. Those were the only 2 that appeared to be naive enough to say vitamin C and paracetamol. The rest of them went off on me, and I almost passed out. Oh, cocaine, crack cocaine, heroin, oncolos. They said every street name that there was. And that's when I knew that we really have an endemic in our hands. And the thing is, it's the truth that we're in big trouble. Our next generation is in trouble. Now, 8-year-olds, one boy I particularly asked him, how do you know colos? And he said to me, my brother sent me to go and buy. He even made me try it once. His older brother. And so he now tried it. That's for you to know that if your older ones are doing it, the younger ones are at risk also, because he didn't want to be seen as going to buy it. So he sent his younger brother, who is 8 years old. Now, if that boy liked the way he felt, because I keep telling people, don't lie to people that they will not feel good when they take drugs. They will feel good. That's the truth. It is a temporary feeling, but the long-term consequences is what we are talking about. They will feel good. They will feel the dopamine levels will shoot up. So they will feel like, oh, they're having the time of their life. But what does it do? It has a negative consequence. That's what we are dealing with. And that's what we're, talking about. It's not a regional challenge. It is a national endemic. So if 8-year-olds know what they are doing, then we know that we are in trouble. In our universities, even the Christian institutions are not left behind. In fact, my highest number of clients are from Christian universities. I will not name names. They're from Christian universities. You think that if they go there, they'll be okay. They have a high level. It is scary to see. Many of them, even the vendors in their schools, are cooking Indomie with marijuana. They are making beans with marijuana. Now we even tell children, don't eat in your friend's house. Brownies, they are doing pastries with marijuana. So all of those things, they are widespread, is everywhere. Drugs as cheap as 200 is available. Drugs as expensive as 100,000, they're available. On Valentine's Day, a few days before Valentine's, somebody called me. Her friend, excuse me, her friend had a party coming up on Valentine's Day. She said it was strictly a couple's party, and it was not going to be publicized. It was just the people that they were going to give. They were all a group of friends. So you can't come alone, one. You must come with your partner, that's your boyfriend or a girl, whatever it is. They were going to have an orgy. They had bought drugs, crack cocaine, meth, that's the one they call they had bought Colorado. They had gathered them, they had gone to rent the place where they were going to have the party. They will all get high, then they will start having an orgy. All of them will be sleeping with each other. Guess the age of these people. They were between the ages of 15 and 19 on Valentine's Day. One of them was invited, and she's somebody that we have been mentoring, and she sent a message to me and said, this is what is going on, and this is why they've called me. And I just want, because you're my accountability partner, I just want to let you know. And immediately I told her, what do you need me to do? She said she doesn't want to go. I said, do we get those people into trouble? And she said, well, she's going to tell a few of her friends that I'd advise them not to go. So the ones that we could reach, we called them aside and told them not to go, showed them the dangers of everything that can happen to them. Last year, one boy was having a party, 16-year-old party. He's a 16-year-old. He brought a big bowl and put it at the entrance. And he told everybody coming in, your entrance into, that's your access card into this party is to bring any drug. It doesn't matter what it is, whether Refnol, whether paracetamol, high BP meds, seizure meds, diabetic meds, just bring anything. And then everybody brought their meds. Then they put a big bowl at the entrance, poured alcohol in it, plenty of vodka, and then they emptied the tablets and all the syrups and everything inside, and they mixed it all together. That's a science student. That song, that the Olamide song, that's the science students, what he called, as in they've mixed chemicals. And guess what was going on? Everybody's supposed to drink out of that cup, that bowl of water. That was the liquid that everybody had to drink in that place. I don't even want to start to tell you the kind of interactions that happened in people's brains that day. Let's just say that some of them ended up in the ICU. 2 of them were in the ICU. 1 person actually died because I don't know what happened to the person's nervous system. His nervous system shut down. That is how I even found out about this party. So these are the things that happen. Statistics is crazy. We have an endemic in our hands. Now, what are the types of drugs? There are different types of drugs. We have illegal drugs. There's cocaine, of course. There's crack cocaine. There's meth, which is ice. They call it ice or umpurumiri. Then there's marijuana and its variants. There is Colorado, all the variants, Colorado, Arizona, Gorilla Glue, Canada Glue. There's so many. In fact, before we used to say when you smell Igbo, you know that they're smoking marijuana. Now, these days, your child can be smoking in your house and you don't have a clue. So we find them. The painful part about this thing is that many of these drugs that they are using have so been mixed with chemicals that it's not even, the chemical, they even mix them with fentanyl. It's so mixed that these days, the fatality of taking these drugs these days is something else. There is gutter water. That's the one they call scoochies. It's a combination of black currant drink, codeine, cocaine, the powder, rohypnol, tramadol. It's a combination. Each one can do enough damage, not to talk of the combination. So when you see a child drinking Zobo or Coke that refuses to finish, they just keep topping it. They just keep sipping it gradually. You need to look a little closer. Something is in that bottle that they don't want it to finish. Every time the high is going down, they just top it up a little. Then there's prescription drugs, of course, codeine. And those ones are the ones that are being given for them to actually, for medicinal purposes, medical purposes. But now they have been abused. There's tramadol, there's rohypnol, there's pentazocine injection. Tramadol is a painkiller with a formulation of 50 milligrams. But the street one that they sell ranges from 200 milligrams through 1,000. If you take the 50 milligrams, it's enough to even get you drowsy and all of that. And what they're selling on the street ranges from 200 milligrams through 1,000. So you can imagine the effect of what that would do. And guess what? You see some drug users taking a full sachet of this thing. They don't take 1 or 2 like the doctor will prescribe. They will take a full sachet of 10 or 12. You can imagine what it will do. Then we have the miscellaneous, like sniffing solution. That's glue. Then there's sock away pit. There's pit latrine fumes. There is the one that they put their urine in trenches. They will put it 10 days. This one is 10 days. This one is 9 days. When it has reached a particular time, they will inhale the one, then put another set. When you go to your child's room, look for stuff that you look for drug paraphernalia. Look for syringes. Look for empty blisters of medication, sleeping medication. Look for empty bottles of codeine. I went to someone's house and the boy, they didn't even believe that the boy was using codeine. He was on a codeine diet. By the time they went to the back of his window, the father was so sure that it was the codeine company was leaving behind, because the bottles, they were up to 1,000. So when he finishes drinking, he throws it out through the window. That's where, because there was an uncompleted building next door. That's where they saw these things. His father nearly passed out. He had to be taken into rehabilitation. So there are different things. What are the signs to look out for? When I tell parents all the time that there are signs to look out for, it's not because you can just tell, but you must know your child before you know that your child has changed. If you don't know your child, you will not know when your child has started skipping school, because absenteeism from school is also a thing. If you don't know your child, you will not know your child's friends. When your child changes friends unnecessarily or suddenly, and you don't understand these new friends, and he can't explain what happened with the old friends, look a little closer. When every day your child is changing gadgets, when every day 1 minute you have a phone, tomorrow he doesn't have iPad, all of a sudden he has again. The one you buy, you say they stole. Every day they are stealing his gadget. Look a little closer. When things are getting lost in the house, your old AC, I know a father who said he's tired of taking his child to rehab. Instead, he would just pack all the old ACs, old TV, put it in his store, and say, let him be stealing those ones and be going to sell, than for him to come and steal the one in my house. I know a child who sold his father's house. Him and his father bear the same name. He's over 18. He sold it legally. It got into court, but there was nothing they could do about it. So there are signs to look out for. Has your child changed? Are they absent from school? Watch their behavior. Are they suddenly sleeping too much? Or are they suddenly losing sleep? Watch them. Are their eyes bloodshot? Suddenly excessive use of perfumes, sudden secretive behaviors. All of a sudden they want to be locking their doors. All of a sudden they don't want you coming anywhere near them. All of a sudden they're using excessive perfumes. Check their body for marks. If they're injecting. I know a girl that injected her baby, because she wanted the baby to sleep up so that she could get high with her boyfriend. So check their skin for injection marks. Check for paraphernalia. Check for syringes. Check for tourniquets. Check for lighters. Check for spoons. There are different things to look out for depending on the drug that the person is using. What do we do? What is the role of the family? We have to go back to being parents again. Before, I know that economic times are not joking with us. We know what's going on. But at the same time, we need to go back to being parents. We need to communicate better. Because when you communicate with your child, you will know some things. Your child's brain, they are very genius, they are creative, but they still are not as wise as you are. So you will be able to tell when some things are a bit off. Open communication helps. When they have friends that are trying to actually influence them, no. Because you will see that you don't like to behave like this before. How come you're behaving like that? Look for teachable moments so that when they tell you some things, you know what to say. You know what to say. Open communication is important. Look closely. Be a family again. When you're at home, be present. Be emotionally present when you're physically present. God will ask you for these children because he gave them to you to steward. So you have to be present. Listen to them. Most children, when they start using drugs, they cry for help. So it's important that we listen to them. Go to their schools. Find out what's going on. Are they still in school? I was not in school for years. I told them I graduated. I was collecting money from 7 siblings. Nobody knew because nobody was coming to my school to check. Nobody was checking my grades. Check on your children unannounced. They will thank you later. Now they may be upset, but they will thank you later. Communicate with them. I always tell parents, there's some parents that will say, no. I am my daughter's best friend. Stop it. Until you have parented, you cannot be best friends. Can two work together unless they agree? You have to have family values. What are your family values? What are you modeling for these children? Are you one of those that would tell them, go and tell the neighbor I'm not at home? Meanwhile, you're at home. You're teaching them to lie. So if you don't model the right behavior, they will not know what to follow. Don't tell them, do as I say, not as I do. So that means you have to align yourself with your own values. What are your values? What are your family values? That's what they will take and run with. A child may experiment when they go. That's not a lie. But guess what brings them back? The anchor called family values. And you revisit your family values constantly. Revisit. You revisit. You lovingly tell them. You explain to them. You show them. They say in Israel, I've been to Israel before. What happens is they will tell you, this is where Judas hung himself. This is where this person did like that. Show them examples of people that used their lives. And that's why I put myself out there. Let them look at me. I wasted 13 years of my life. I put myself out there so that they don't do that kind of thing. Show them examples of people that did well with their lives and see where they are. Show them someone like me who is now trying to catch up with life. These are the things that we talk about. Open communication, teachable moments. Stop being authoritative. Stop being negligent. Stop being permissive. I know it took you long to have a child, but you must bring them up correctly, because a child you don't bring up correctly will curse you. The prodigal son, it took him how long to walk away? But guess what? He came back because he knew what he had in his father's house, which was his father's family values. What are your family values? Let's go back. Go back. We are working. Everybody's trying to make work. We're trying to make a living. Nigeria is easy in Jesus' name. But at the same time, when you are home, be present. Find out what's going on in their lives. Be in touch with them. Know their friends. Know their friends' families. Don't leave your child's life to chance. Be the loudest voice in your child's life. Because if you don't teach them, the streets will teach them. And whoever teaches them first, that's what they call the law of first mention. That is going to be the loudest voice in their head. You want to be the first and the loudest. What's the role of the community? Before we used to say, I'm sure I talked about prayer. Pray for your children. Let them understand the prayer. Pray for them. Whether you're Muslim or Christian, it makes no difference. Pray for your children. Teach them to pray. And let them understand that there is the need for a higher being. They cannot do life without a higher being. So that when they have issues that they are trying to navigate through life, they don't look to their mates or look to substance to cope. They look to God. They look to their parents. They look to positive role models. They look to positive mentors. If you think you cannot influence your child, look for someone you can influence that will be able to help you influence your child. Because if you don't do that, whoever it is that is on the streets, social media, our music artists, they will influence our children. But you want to be the one to do that. Community, what do we do? Before, the community used to be the one, everybody's child was everybody's child. Now everybody be like, don't talk to my child like that. Release your child to be corrected by community. When I was younger, one of the things that we knew, in that my clothes in Lagos, we could not do some things. A neighbor will see and report you, or a neighbor will see you, drag you by the ear till you reach your house. Now everybody wants to mind their business. In my house here in Abuja, I lived in a house for 3 years. My neighbor to my right, I did not know her until 2 years later. Never saw her, didn't know who she was, and her family. I didn't know them. To the left and opposite, I knew. But this one to the right, I just somehow never knew her. She doesn't communicate to anybody. This is what happens. If anything happens to a child outside, I would never know. Not to even talk of saying, it's my neighbor's child. Give me that child. Everybody needs to parent together. They all belong to us. They all belong to us. A boy in one of these areas had been terrorizing the whole neighborhood with drugs, him and his gang. But his mother didn't know he was the one. Everybody else knew he was the one but the mother. And nobody wanted to tell her. They all kept quiet. Until the day the group came and stole from the mother. Then the boy came home and said, they robbed you? She said, yes. He said, I've been hearing of this Capone. I don't know, say one day it go reach my turn. The boy said, don't worry, the person will thief your thing, go bring them back. Like joke. Before 24 hours, they brought the things back. She was telling her son, Jesus, answer my prayer. Oh, it was not Jesus. It was her son that went to warn the rival gang that better return my mother's things if you know what is good for you. It was when the police came to arrest him that the mother knew that this boy is the famous Capone that had been terrorizing the area. He had been terrorizing from when he was 12, and this boy was 21 now. 9 years. And his mother did not know. Nobody in the community said anything. We need to go back to what we used to be. When you see something, you say something. You see something, you say something. Hello, Pastor Jeff. I saw so and so son smoking cigar outside. He was smoking marijuana. Where is his father's house? Report them. Because we need to start talking about these things. Otherwise, and this is why stigma is a matter, because we're all hushing it. So when everybody's keeping quiet, nobody's talking about these things. So no, when we are keeping quiet, when a thing is concealed, it cannot be treated. So we need to expose it for it to be dealt with. And if we don't expose it, stigma will thrive. So the community needs to go back so people can seek help without shame. Of course, treatment modalities, there are only 2 treatment modalities. There are all that one that they lock people up and tie them like animals. It is outdated. It is wrong. It is inhumane. It shouldn't be done. They are humans. They're not animals. There are 2 treatment modalities: counseling, therapy, and then in-treatment rehabilitation. When you take them in, because many of them, with the kind of drugs that they use, depending on the kind of drug that they use, it's important that you take them into a facility for them to be able to have inpatient treatment for detox purposes. Let them detox their brain, starve the brain and rewire it so that it can start making better choices to cope with life's choices. Thank you also very much. I think I've come to the end. Any questions at this point?
All right. Thank you very much, Tega. Thank you so much for that presentation. So I don't know if there's anybody who has question, because Tega has another event and need to leave us on time. So if you have a question, you can put it in the chat box, or
I can go up until 5, sir. It's okay.
Oh, good, excellent. So you can put it in the chat box for us to read, and then we'll take the question. Or if your question is private, you can send it to my number. You can pick my number from the. Okay, let me put my number here. That's 080308034008444. That, yeah. So you can, if you intend to, if it's a private question you don't want to ask publicly, please, you can drop your question directly. I will pick it from my WhatsApp and then we will read it anonymously. But while we wait for that question, I'd like to say something. This afternoon, I was sending chats to Tega because a woman brought her son who just got released from a rehab center yesterday, on Friday. And they wanted to bring it to me on that Friday. I said no. They were eager because the boy has been to rehab 2 times as a pastor's son. And that does not make any difference. Let me just tell you, being a pastor's son or whatever does not make any difference in this we are talking about. The drugs occur in all universities. And like she said, my own highest clients have been coming from faith-based universities. Faith-based university where Jesus is preached. So it has not made a difference like that. The family is what can actually make the difference. So I was chatting now on what we can do for this particular guy who has been in rehab twice. And if care is not taken, he can go back the 3rd time. Second, we remember a case that we had. The boy has been to rehab 6 times. 6 times, and the mother to send him back from US back to Nigeria. He has done rehab in US for six times, and he didn't get better. So the mother pushed him back to Nigeria, and then we were supposed to also help him. But then at a point, the mother didn't want to face some reality that she still need to pay. She said she has paid 6 times. She has paid 6 times and it didn't work. Now we have a different method that different from rehab, and she didn't want to pay. So that's another. So they are there. Just so you have one of today. the two of us also had to prepare a particular guy for rehab. He was sent in 3 weeks ago. We had a 2 weeks preparation for him, and then left him for another 2 weeks to check if he's ready. Because if they are not ready and you put them to rehab, it's to waste money. And the cheapest rehab in Abuja, I think, is the NDLEA, 280. The others are 500, 600, and some are even very crazy. There's a rehab in Abuja that charges 90,000 per night. You understand? So it's a crazy stuff out there. And like we're talking about age. Age now, it has gone as bad as primary school. So don't say, my child does not know anything. He does not know anything, just a small something. We'll be deceiving ourselves if we say we don't. We are not saying you suspect your children, but if you listen to what she said, what are the signs, what are the telltales, what are the things, especially if your child is hyperactive and suddenly goes down, or she's low, I mean, she's very quiet, he or she's very quiet, and suddenly go hyper. Something happened. Something happened. It's not just like that. And you must know your friends' children. You know their children and know the parent of those children, so that you can also secure your own side of the story. So that's why we're here. And if there are no questions, you can. Okay, the chairman has a question here. Go on, sir.
All right, thank you for your time. I personally picked up a few things. So I'd just like to ask one or two questions. First is, what if in a community you know one or two persons that have obvious issues with substance abuse, and the person does not want knowledge or is not ready to seek help? What do you do? How do you intervene or provide support? What do you do in that instance?
Pastor Jeff, over to you, sir.
Okay. Did you hear the question?
Yes, I did, but I was going to say.
All right. In the community, just like you said about parents. Okay, Mr. Prosper, we'll take your question after. In the community, I don't know what to say, okay. But let me just say that if you can approach the person that is taking this drugs, or we already know, we're not accusing him, we have facts, we can confront him. If he denies, we can tell his parents. But one thing about telling the parents is this: one great challenge in this thing that we do are parents. Parents don't always want to believe that their child is doing anything until it has gone beyond whatever, especially when they are children, when they are teenagers. They say, no, don't accuse my children like that. So we need to know the kind of parent they are. And then we inform those boys, tell the person himself or herself, and then tell the parents. So if by God's grace we are able to get parents informed and involved, that would be better. But in the case where the person refuses or even threatens to do something harmful to you, if you tell his or her parents, then it will be difficult to tell the parent. But there are some cases where you might need to bring in NDLEA when you are very sure. All right, so Tega, let me hear your contribution.
Okay, sir. Yes, what you said, everything you said is actually, very, very valid. In fact, I wanted them just add something. Also, we also think of there's something called motivational interviewing, which you can get an interventionist to come and talk to the person and let the person see what it is. But if it's in the community, you might not be able to do that. The person may insult you, but you can just say that you have done your bit. Just tell the person that, well, befriend the person, first of all. Rapport is very important. If you don't have rapport with a person and you just go ahead and start advising the person about drug use, the insults might be pro max. So it's just best to have rapport with the person. Let the person just know how are you? I'm hailing you. Are you okay? Just hailing you. You do it today, you do it tomorrow. What do you do? What's your name? Good to see you. Okay, pass. One day you will get to the point where you can have a conversation, or the person may actually bring themselves to you. They will come and beg for money from you. Once a drug use victim sees that you are greeting them all the time, they've already marked you as somebody that they can borrow money from. So they will come and meet you one day and say, sir, I'm looking for money. I'm just trying to enter transport to go here. My mother has locked the door. They will find a story. They are very creative. When they tell you, if you want to, I have given somebody money for drugs before. I knew he was going to use the drugs, but I gave him because I wanted him to come back. So by the time he came back, we were waiting for him with NDLEA. So when he came, I told him, I said, come on Monday. And he came back on Monday and we told the NDLEA and they picked him without him knowing it was me. But I was the one that gave him the drug. So when he wanted to come and borrow money again, I was waiting for him with the money. I said, come, I will give you. On Monday, I gave him on Saturday. Then on Monday, he came. On Monday, they were waiting for him. And they picked him. So you can either build rapport. When they keep coming, you now find ways to talk to them and then refer them for change. Or like Pastor Jeff said, really.
Okay. The second part of my question would be, in this era of some drugs being tagged as medicinal, and the stigma, if I may put it that way, associated with some drugs, specifically Indian hemp, I don't know if others have acquired that status, is being unveiled and removed. How do you balance when you think this is what somebody is being abusing? How do you balance intervention or even reaching out or even thinking that this is right or wrong these days?
Okay, it depends on the drug. When people talk about marijuana being acceptable, it's not acceptable anywhere. But when most times they are talking about what's that thing now?
Whatever.
The medicinal one. Hey.
A strain of cannabis now.
Yes, I think it's THC. They'll be
Yes.
telling you it's medicinal. It is part of the plant that they smoke, and the part that is medicinal. It's two different parts. It's like root and stem. It's not the same part. So when a person is telling you that it has been scientifically proven that marijuana actually has a link between the use and psychosis.
Yeah.
So if it's medicinal, how are you now getting psychosis? Now, there's also the part of abuse. Like, that's why I talked about prescription drugs. Codeine is for cough.
Yes.
I was on a codeine diet. I was supposed to take 1 spoon. At some point, I was doing 6 to 8 bottles in a day. That is abuse. That's why you don't have them being sold over the counter anymore. It's now a controlled medication.
Even Panadol Extra.
Yes.
I was shocked that it's no
Panadol
longer
Extra.
OTC.
That's the thing. So we always know which one, we can tell from there. Even the ones that are just medicinal, people abuse them. So education is what helps. What we are doing, we keep educating, we keep talking about it. We will not keep quiet. We'll keep talking about it. Because even people that, some people will say, oh, I just want to sleep. So I drank half a bottle of codeine. That's abuse. In no time, you will develop tolerance to half a bottle and you will start using a full bottle. A full bottle, you will develop tolerance. You will use 2.
Dopamine will ask for more.
Yes.
All right, so let's take Mr. Prosper. Mr. Prosper, can we have your question, sir? Please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, go on, sir. Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Thank you very much, presenter, for the information you've shared. But my question, let me go straight to it. My question is a question of why do you think people want to use drugs? Because I mean, I'm referring to I'm directing my question to Mrs. Steger now, because for someone who had years of probably abusing something, there was something making you do it. There was because the thing is, like, for example, I've never taken cocaine, so I don't know how I will feel. But probably I might take it, my body would not like it, and I wouldn't use it. Because growing up, for example, I tried cigarette, but I didn't like it, so I didn't use it. Some of my friends tried it, they liked it, so they continued to use it. I mean, cigarette is legal. I mean, it's not something that's legal, but it's harmful. So the question right now, I mean, and then of course we can look at food. For example, there are people who eat excessively because their body just like eating. Because it's a problem of why. Because I've had conversations on this topic with people. And the question is, I mean, some of them successful people, they use some very interesting drugs. Some of them people we see on TV, they use these things.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to understand like why, that's something because if we understand the why, then probably we'll be able to prevent it for the children when they're younger. Because I mean, like kids, for example, they don't even understand what a cruise will feel. But until they use something, they will be able to tell if they like it or not. Some of us as young children, we overdosed on even normal prescription drugs. So the question is, I'm trying to understand, why do you think, because if you're able to relate to drug abusers at the level of why they're doing these things, I feel we'll be able to redirect them from not using it, or being able to understand, okay, this is a trigger. I have to run away from this trigger. Because that's the question for me. Why? Why do you think? How do we understand? Because if we understand the why, I think it solves the problem. Because even marijuana, you talk about, there are countries in the US, states rather, it's legal. You can just buy it and smoke it. You can smoke it publicly like you smoke cigarette. But I mean, you could abuse it at the level. You could use it normally. So, but it's the why. I think that's for me, that's the question I would, if you can help to just, I mean, you don't have all the answers, but probably with your exposure to informations and, models that you're trying within your UN organization to see how you can solve the problem. Let's hear what you have to say. That's my question.
Thank you very much,
Okay, there are
sir.
different reasons. Thank you, sir. Okay, Pastor Jack, please go.
No, go on, go on.
There are different reasons why people use drugs. People use drugs, like some people is medicinal, and they like the way that they feel when they use it, and then they continue to use. Some people, there are different gateways to drug use. Societal pressure, there is peer pressure, there is family dysfunction, there is personal trauma, there is, of course, medications that people have to use. Thing is, some people are also genetically predisposed to addictions. Some people
Okay.
are genetically predisposed to it. I know a man who told his daughter, I saw my brothers use marijuana, and one of them lost his mind. And I saw another one, how his life went down the drain. So I didn't bother to do, because I knew where I was going to. And so he told his daughter. So when his daughter started to use, it was something that really broke his heart. And he now had to tell her about those people. Now the girl went to rehab and she's straight, because she didn't have those examples in front of her as a model not to. Different people use drugs for different reasons. Some people start out experimental. They're just experimenting. Some people is just social use. They just want to, like, they're going for a party and they just want to dirty their eyes. Let me go and have a lot of fun before. Let me get high so that I can throw caution to the wind when I'm in at the party, Because when you are in your right senses, you're thinking, oh, I have to be a certain way. I have to comport myself. But some people don't want to comport. They're like, let me just barrage, and they want to throw caution to the wind. So that happens, and some people want to do that. And after a while, they're binge users also. They just use. Then they will go off for a while. Then they will come back again and use. Everybody uses what they do for different reasons. Bulk of them is for escaping reality. The bulk of the people. They want to escape the present pain that they have. It's an emotional pain that they have to deal with. That's most people that use because of personal trauma, is escaping reality. It happens. It happens. Family dysfunction is part of them, but the bulk of it is for escaping reality. They don't want to deal with the present, and so they want to just use. I hope this answers.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I hear you. Okay, the other question I had in addition to this one is, okay, people who use drugs to escape reality, and most especially escape reality. So if you are to have a conversation with someone who I mean, he has the desire to not use, but
Mm.
like you said, the binge users, I think that's where you want to classify them. And then he keeps, after a while, oh, I don't use drugs anymore, but just went to this party the other day. We're just having fun. How do you get, I mean, of course, this person in question is not, he has his life together. So that's even why it's not why you can easily judge him, because he has his life together. I mean, from afar, he's paying his bills, he's living, everything, is married. His
That's a
kids are doing
functional
well.
addict.
So but because he has, but you can, but for him, because when you have conversations with him, he tells you that for me, it doesn't do anything. It makes me function. Like you said, maybe functional. It just says it makes me function. That's why I said, like, it's so now, because when you have an example like that, how do you talk to someone like that? That's even the question. Like, or is it that maybe some people are built to be able to live with it, why some aren't? So for the people that aren't built to live with it are the people that should probably get to the rehab. Because I'm nothing again, I have my skepticism about rehab, because most people that I know that have gone to the rehab and returned, well, there's really no difference, really. And somehow I think it became worse, because when they finally relapse, the relapse is extra. So I don't know. So maybe some people are just built to be susceptible to these addictions, like you said, genetically built. I don't know, because it's difficult to really. But that's my other question. So how do you communicate to people who use these things, but they have their life together?
Okay.
Because that's an example.
Okay, I'm going to answer two questions. You talked about the one about the people that go to rehab and then they come back and they're worse. Now, what happens with us is in Nigeria, we don't believe in follow-up. When they leave in treatments, they're done. They just think that a behavior that was learned for and practiced for 9 years, 10 years, they expect it to vanish in 3 months of inpatient treatments. And it's impossible. It took you a while to build that habit. You must unlearn it and relearn new habits. And it will take you some time. Because guess what? Your brain goes from 0 to 100 in seconds. For every time that you actually take it into consideration, knowing your triggers and knowing your cravings and understanding that you have urges and going through the urges stuff, it reduces in time. For every time you are conscious and you do something positive about it, before you know it, the time, instead of going from 0 to 100 in seconds, you will go from 0 to 100 in 1 minute. After a while, till now, I still have times when I could have relapsed.
Okay.
Now, I have been sober. This is 2024. So I've been sober for 13 years. I had my son 2 years ago. And the 2 years ago that I had my son, they gave me pentazocine injections in the hospital is a pain reliever. But guess what happened to me? When I got in, the first thing I said to my doctor is, I have an addiction history. Please don't give me any medication that I can be easily addicted to. And they said, oh, fantastic. Thank you for that information. Oh, you're a person of honor, yada, yada. Now, I waited for 10 years before I had my child. And so when he was born, based on the different communities that I belong to, my hospital room was like a pilgrim site. People were coming in and out and in and out. Oh my God, I was having guests from 6 a.m. to midnight every day for 7 days. Now, in between this, I still have to go up to nurses. I chose to do CS. Waiting for 10 years, I didn't want story. I didn't want them to tell me when you were pushing one thing hung somewhere, cut me open and bring him out. So they were giving me painkillers. Now, this is me that had declared myself. I declared all my assets. I have an addiction history. And they said, oh, fantastic. But the only medication we can give you that can help you is this medication. And I said, that's fine. I just told myself, Tega, be conscious. You'll be good. Overconfidence is what kills people that come out of rehab. When you think you can do it, you no longer pay attention to your triggers, your cravings, and all of those things, and your accountability, you will definitely relapse. I have a course, a full course on relapse prevention. I tell them the different things, 18 videos recorded for them to be able to help them through relapse prevention. It's theirs because you are in recovery for the rest of your life, not for 3 months. So when I came out of the hospital, When I was in the hospital, we didn't know 7 days. By the 5th day, I was already all the visit, the lack of sleep and the disturbances was already getting to me. It was taking its toll on me. By the 5th evening, I told my doctor, I said, how many more doses do I have of this pentazocine? And she said, you have 4 more. That's 2 tomorrow, 2 and the day after, then you're discharged. And I said, okay, is it okay to get some more? She said, why? I said, because I'm in so bad pain. And I need more, let's increase the dose because the pain is bad. And she said, oh, by all means, we'll do that. We don't want you in pain. We know you have a diabetic history. Guess what? I was lying. It was my addictive brain that had rapidly opened the files. The way that I felt 11 years ago came flooding back with speed when they gave me the injection. And I was immediately asking for more because I had liked the feeling, the euphoric feeling that had come. Thank God for purpose. I had rewired my brain for 11 years doing the work that I do. And then I just came to myself and I said, doctor, I lied. And the doctor said, what are you talking about? I said, remember I told you I have an addiction history, right? She said, yes. I said, it's my addictive brain that was talking to you. It's not me. And she laughed so hard. But she said, I appreciate what you have just done. Because I know a number of people who have become addicted because of medical conditions, and it's those medications. So a person that goes into treatment or is in recovery should know that they're in recovery for life. You cannot afford to live your life unconsciously. You must be conscious. There is a saying that says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. You will say, oh, I can't help myself. You must help yourself. You are in recovery forever and you must be conscious. I never drink alcohol anywhere. It doesn't matter what it is. I won't taste red wine, no matter how social the place is. I know where I'm coming from. What you would joke with, I won't joke with. I went for a party one day. I looked at the people around. I knew that the brownies that they were serving there had marijuana. They didn't even have to tell me. When they said, have some, I said, nope, I'm not eating this. And somebody just looked and said, don't give her. The work she does, she will walk out of here on her head. We all laughed. Because I've also put myself out there. So now that was accountability speaking for me. Purpose and accountability is important. Overconfidence kills. Overconfidence is what sends people back to the rehab. And then shame. They're afraid to speak up. When you are going to, because when people relapse, they go through stages before the physical relapse. There is the mental relapse, there's the emotional relapse. At what point, when you are going through the emotional relapse, speak up quickly. Speak up very quickly. You can be helped because when you get to the mental, it's only a matter of time you are already physically relapsing. That's that. Then for the people that say, oh, okay, they're social users and all of that, one of the things that I ask people, they're functional users. I say it's fine. So I went to the Rotary, one of these Rotary clubs to speak about substance use one day. And one guy told me that he didn't like the way I was demonizing marijuana. And I said, I'm sorry. He said, because he has one good friend. That guy is one of the best surgeons in Abuja. And that he smokes marijuana. And that thing brings out his creativity. I said, fantastic. I said, do you believe that that guy is naturally creative? It's just that he's too lazy to tap into his natural creativity. He said, no, he doesn't believe so. That's the thing that enhances him. I said, okay, no problem. Don't forget what I said earlier, that this thing actually helps you to throw caution to the wind. You are not aware of other people. The part that the drugs affect is the part where you make rational decisions. So I didn't say a word. He now said, no, the guy is good. That he will smoke, then he will go into the theater and then he does amazing work. I'm like, wow. I said, okay, are you married, sir? He said, yes. I said, are you for CS or against CS? That's the Syrian session. He said, he's for it. It's not a problem. I said, do you have children? He said, in fact, his wife is pregnant. I said, beautiful. I said, so you're not against CS? He said, no. I said, what if when your wife wants to have CS, this your very good friend that is the doctor, the surgeon, is the one that they say is going to operate on her, and you know he has just smoked marijuana? He said, madam, why? I said, oh, so you have a problem with it. When I do things like this, I don't put it to you. I ask you questions. Only you by yourself, you will answer. He said, madam, why are you talking like this? I said, sir, so it's good for other people, but not for you. He said, "Hey, what if you by mistake he cuts her intestine?" I said, voila, here we are. Here we are. So as functional as you think that you are, it might, the chances are high that it will affect the part where you make rational decisions. Yes, and I say it with my full chest.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
For your responses. And of course, it's a little of course, the issue, especially marijuana, that as a substance right now is debatable actually, because there are different research that has different reports and results, you know, when it comes to that. And the example you even cited about doctors and all that, interestingly, this is what we see. We have a lot of professionals. That's why when I made that example, I know what I was saying. Probably it's due to the business I was, you know, involved with. And, you know, like you rightly said, the only reason the guy is saying God forbid and, you know, this kind of issues coming about is because he has knowledge. There are a lot of us that may have even been treated or driven by someone who is loaded.
Or flown by a pilot who
know.
was loaded.
I'm loaded with alcohol, some of them. I mean, I'm just saying. So I don't mix my point. This is even the point. I feel for people who are using this different substances, whether it's excessive alcohol or whether it's marijuana, I feel we have to come to that consciousness where we, especially for those who want to be helped, because not everybody care about the way their life. But for those who care enough to say, you know, I don't like the way my life is, or I'm using this thing, I need help. I feel we should come to the point where we can understand where they are coming from. Why do I say that? Because for some of us, we have just natural abilities to say no to certain things. Like, for example, I have a friend, or I know a guy, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't gamble, but he's a chronic, his weakening point is a woman, like he's a chronic womanizer. I have another one, that one drinks a lot. I have another one. He smokes excessively. So for some of us, we have the grace, we have the help to be able to be disciplined. All of us have our secrets and things we're dealing with. So I feel talking more about drugs, especially drugs, because it's becoming like an endemic, like you said, that it gets to the point where we as individuals, for those of us who have strength in being able to say no, being able to control ourselves. Like even for you who has even been sober for years, you've got the temptation so strong that we'll have that sentimental support. That's what I'm trying to say. Because one of the reasons most people hide it is because we judge them. We judge their weakness. We judge it. So most people don't want to talk about it. People don't want to have conversations about it. So apart from the fact that we're saying, oh, drugs are bad, excessive use of this is bad, I think more attention should be given to treating people who have these challenges, whether it's alcohol, whether it's womanizing, whether it's whatever it is, that from a sentimental, because try to understand them. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Because the truth is,
absolutely. Because
people judge people too much.
That's why I said we don't tie people up anymore. It's a brain disease. It's not a moral failing. It has gone from a moral failing to a brain disease. And once it has become a brain disease, you have to treat them like someone that has an ailment. And so you cannot judge someone who has diabetes. You can't judge someone who has high blood pressure. You can't judge someone who has malaria. You can't. You would treat them.
Yes.
This is where we are right now in the science of treating, substance use. It is not a moral failing. It is a brain disease, and treat them as such. When we all know this, we would stigmatize less. And to be easier for everybody to understand that it's a communal fight.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
I know you have another event now. So I've asked Tega to drop a number. Is there a handle? Let's go on. I've asked Tega to drop a number so that in case you want to contact her privately, the number is there. She needs to go now. She's having another event. So Tega, thank you so much for.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I will chat you up after. All right. Thank you so much.
Something she said.
Okay.
There's a point she made. Well, I'm not sure whether was Prosper that said it. In the spectrum of abuse,
Yes.
I know this is about drugs.
Yeah.
But what about other substance abuses? Alcohol, for example. Is it
Okay.
as addictive? Is getting off it as difficult as the drug spectrum? Was it the same? Because, I mean, of course, many years ago, alcoholics is the only thing we used to hear, right?
Yes.
Then all these other ones are now coming in and it looks like they are on another level.
Okay, that's a question. Hold on. Do we have enough clinics where this treatment can be carried out for users and are they affordable? Yes, ma. I remember your question is very legit. We don't have enough clinics, but there are centers. In Nigeria, we have 9 neuropsychiatric hospitals, federal neuropsychiatric hospitals. 9. Nine, yes. And we also have other general hospitals where they have clinics where they treat people. Like General Hospital, they have a rehab center. Then Kaduna Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Abeokuta, Lagos, and all the rest, they also do. Then Gogolada, they also do. I'm not sure Gogolada has a rehab, but they always have a psychiatric section where they can treat people. The challenge is that we have more people than more than the clients, more people than the doctors. And in Nigeria, I still went to check yesterday. The Nigerian Psychiatric Association, they have only 250 registered members. Only 250 registered psychiatric doctors registered with them. I took a course at the National Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Kaduna. We have a whole lot of them that are there, but the work they see every day is more than their capacity. At that time, I think they have like 8. I think they have like 8, about 8 or 7 consultant psychiatric doctors, but the load is enormous. National Hospital, they have psychiatric doctors there too, but the load is enormous. So private people have come into this phase. So we are now in Sun City. There's some estate behind Sun City. There's a rehab center there. There's one in Galadimawa. There's one in Karo. We have a lot of them in Gwarimpa. But when we come to affordability, I will say this. NDLEA has about, I think 9. I can't remember the figure now. They have it nationwide. They have one. The one they have in Abuja is at Gudu here, and they charge 280,000 per month. They are about the cheapest. I think Karo General Hospital also charge around that amount. But the private ones that we have charge from 500 to 2 point something per month. There's a particular one in Gwarimpa that charges 90,000 naira per night. Per night. Now, the one that charges 500,000, the first month is 600,000 because for the first, they will need 100K to do test for what this person is using, and then put him or her on treatment. And if you go there, they're just young people. My daughter is serving in a rehab center owned by someone that I know, so I linked there. So there's quite a whole lot of opportunities for treatment. But like Tiger said, the treatment is for the first 3 months, and then there are follow-ups. With that follow-up that is lacking, the follow-up should be like another 6 months of weekly visits. Okay, like the guy that I saw today that was brought by his mom, he has 2 weeks outpatient visits, and he's going to do that for the next 3 months. So what we are planning for him is a mentoring program in between, so that he can become accountable now that he intends to change his life by himself. So he needs family to support. So maybe we need, okay, let me do this other question. Maybe we need to move away from labeling the victims and treat them as rehabilitation cases in rehab, yes, centers rather than psychiatric hospitals. Yeah, yes. But now let me not tell you one challenge now. The same way we have doctors fighting pharmacists in the hospital. It's the same way psychiatric doctors are fighting us psychologists. That's the same way. Let me give an example. The psychological bill is being pushed for approval. Then the same way, the psychiatric, the mental health bill is also being pushed. The mental health bill had input from everybody, psychology, psychiatry, almost everybody. But toward the last end of it, the last paper, the last document that went to Muhammadu Buhari, they removed psychologists from it. So Muhammadu Buhari signed mental health bill that has no psychologists involved. Now we have pushed around for 3 times now. The first assembly, it ended, we couldn't push it. Second, now we are gathering money again to push it through. So if we are working together, this thing you mentioned will have been very good, but psychiatrists prefer to work alone because they use drug approach, which is good. But there's more than using drug when you are treating someone who's addiction. So that's why the psychologists come in and the mental health specialists come in. And most rehab centers are owned by psychiatric doctors because they are able to register on time. If I want to register a rehab, now I will need to get a psychiatric doctor to push and use him to register. So those are the challenges we are having, and that is telling negatively on the people, on the clients that we have. So if we remove the use of words, for example, let me give an example. When I went to the Kaduna Neuropsychiatric Hospital, a guy was brought in there, but the guy has been on treatment for like 7 years. They've been taking him to different prayer houses, but was taken to one popular place in Lagos. After they have tied him for months and he didn't get better, they now brought him to a psychiatric hospital. Now, he was living 2 streets away from the psychiatric hospital in Kaduna. And for 6 years or 7 years, he was being taken out of prayer houses, taken to hospitals and whatever. So just entering that hospital alone is a label on itself. We are in psychiatric hospital. And all those are the things that we need to actually fight again, because yes, it's perceived as stigma, and it's a stigma. It's already a stigma. I was on Radio Link with one psychiatric doctor, and we were talking about this stigma. And the man said they even prefer to hear psychologists than to see, I want to go and see a psychiatric doctor. So, and that's the thing. And that's why we say we don't use the word mad. We use other words that are a bit mild. So we need to start from there, start from removing the stigma, but it's still a bit long way for us to do that. But I thank you for your contributions, everyone. Do we have any? Okay, that was a question you asked me, sir.
The spectrum.
Alcohol. Alcohol started as a social drink, people drink alcohol, drink it as a social engagement, whatever. So by the time they get to the point of being alcoholics, it takes longer time, because before you see alcohol taking toll on somebody and selling his things and running away from office and going to depression, it takes a longer time. Maybe because it's social, people drink it socially, and it doesn't do them the kind of harm and the speed with which colos, for example, or crack. In fact, one of our last patients, he showed us his finger, his palm, where crack has burnt his hand. Crack has burnt his hand because we need to put in his hand and all the rest. So the speed, it goes fast. Okay, I have a client, well, it's not my client actually, but the mother brought in for a reason, for mentoring. He was living abroad. It's a young boy. He was sent abroad to go to university at 17. Then by 19, he came back by himself because he started taking marijuana, cannabis. Unfortunately for him, he had cannabis-induced psychosis straight away. He didn't even have all these small withdrawal things that people have. He went straight into his brain and he had psychosis. So when he came back to Nigeria by himself. He came back by himself. And so he was taken to the hospital. So he was put on 2 years drug for psychosis. Psychosis is another name for, let me just say madness, but it's not madness like that. It's no madness like that. It's psychosis, but that's the layman example I can use. So he took that in, enter directly. So he has what we call cannabis-induced psychosis. So he's going to be on treatment for 2 years. He'll be on drug for 2 years. So this boy defaulted, he didn't take a drug. And one day he was in church, and then he started scattering church, throwing everything down, scattering everywhere. So his mom called me that day. And when they got home, he wanted to kill his mother. So they had to take him back to the psychiatric hospital, and then he started his treatment again. It was then that he was sent to me to see how we can package mentoring for him so that to fill all those gaps. But drugs cannot fill all the gaps. You still need to be mentored, counseled, and whatever, so that the gap can be filled. So it's quite a whole lot of things that we have in our hands. But with good and quick intervention, we'll be able to get things done. All right, thank you, everyone. If there are no more questions, I'd like to appreciate you. Yes. Question.
That lens, she said, family has a role to play.
Yes, family has a role to
And
play.
also the community. You understand? But you know, when I was growing up, you know, when you have when you give birth to your child, I can correct your child. But in this present age, I dare not correct your child because it is even the parent that will come and insult you that. So how she said we can help in the community. How do we in this present age where even a teacher cannot even correct some students, parents will come and fight and they will throw.
Yeah. For our community in North Star, our chairman is here. So I'm going to push it to him. Yes, let our chairman talk, because honestly, so how do we do if, for example, I see someone's son on the road and I know this boy, something's wrong with him? Those Tega told us some things we can do, but how can we help? Because I know an estate around here where they have a bunk where they take I don't know, not far from us. They have a place where all the boys go to go and smoke, do whatever thing, and nobody see anything in the estate. We don't have that. I've not seen that in our estate, but it's in this estate, not too far from us. So what can we do? Yes.
Well, I think what Tega said already has the answers. Because before being chairman, I am first a parent, a neighbor, like any other neighbor. And as a neighbor, there are some people's children that if they do something wrong in this estate that I can punish.
Okay, you have to rapport with them.
Yes, I can. There are some people's children that if they do something wrong, I can punish them. And I'm sure there are some people that can punish my kids that won't feel the need to explain themselves to me. You know, they would tell me, but they won't feel under pressure. You know, but there are some people's kids, even in this estate, even as chairman, that I would think twice about
doing anything.
You know, I would approach with caution, if I may put it that way. So the thing is that first we are human beings and we have personal relationships. But as a community, I think it boils down to building that communal living. The people that I said, if I see their kids doing certain things that I think I can, on my own, caution the kids without even wondering if I will have issues with their parents. Also, people I met in this community, but there is a relationship with the parents, one way or another, or at least I have a good idea of the kind of persons they are. That if they hear that I scolded their kids or I had to use some measures to put their kids in check, that they won't second guess or wonder why would you or react in a negative manner. So I think it all boils down to building a community where first and foremost, like you said, we need to know each other.
Yeah.
You know, we need to do more things together, know each other, know a bit more of each other's countenance and things like that, and worldview and things like that. Then the next level would then be, hopefully some of this kind of open conversations. And that's why, I was really, really excited when the opportunity for this session came on board. I hope we will be able to do more interaction like this, and I will see. The test sometimes is also in the pudding, maybe one or two cases of difficult situation and how they are handled. Even though it's not drug, right? And it's not, look at the issue of, we have one big case of a stray dog that happened in the community, for example. It might seem like it's trivial, but it was something that put people into camps.
Yes.
And as a chairman, I was caught in the middle. Yeah, I'm being open, I'm being honest about it. I was caught in the middle. And I know that today some people may have not 100% forgiven me on how I handled the matter. But when you are caught in the middle, you are in the middle. You can't satisfy this side, you can't satisfy the other side. So you just have to try your best to make peace and strike a balance, you know. So I don't know, we are human beings, but it's a journey. The one thing Ngera said that I really I was hearing that for the first time and I really liked it, is that, you know, with drugs, the treatment, you go in 3 months and all, you know, all the facilities or whatever care you get, maybe another 3-6 months, 1 year, maybe follow up. But she said recovery is a lifetime journey. You know, like it's a lifetime journey of recovery. So even if somebody is sober for X number of years, you know, that awareness, that consciousness that you are in recovery forever. So that keeps your guard up permanently, so that you don't think that you're home and dry and it's all done and you're 100% okay now. So actually, it's to keep learning and hopefully we would also consider things like this in our bylaw to empower chairman to
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, Muimba has a question. Where can one get training in this area for you to be able to offer voluntary counseling services? Most of the time, what we do is we embed substance use issue into existing counseling curriculum. Like I do personal counseling training, it's embedded. Even the one I do for churches, I've embedded mental health and embed drugs into it. You understand? So that anytime, even if you are counseling people, like any first timers, you know that there are tendencies for them to have, so that when they say something, you don't feel like, what are you talking about? So they are always embedded into existing counseling, depending on the curriculum. So there are different counseling trainings, and then there are different modules. So I'm running one currently. In the next running one in March, and running one in February, and with those things embedded. But for this particular one, I'm doing it for church counselors. But this drug, mental health, and others are embedded in the training. Then Tega also also runs training for people who wants to be substance use disorder advocates. She does that too, so that when you come across them, you'll be able to help them. But those one are focused only on those who are into drugs. But in general counseling focuses on everybody, but you have understanding of this drug thing and then the issue of mental health. Because mental health and substance abuse, they go together. They go together, and this is becoming a whole lot of issue around them. But with God on our side, with our family intact and focused, like I said yesterday, the family is the bedrock, and we can help one another from the family point. Thank you, everybody. So I'm going to put the link to this video. I'm going to upload them maybe this evening or tomorrow. I will upload them to my YouTube and then send the link to our WhatsApp platform. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We had more people today than yesterday. We appreciate those who have been around, so who have left. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dolor. Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Thank you, where's the Mrs. Thompson, Prosper, and Olajimoke. Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. If there are no more questions, I think we have done a good job today. Thank you, everyone.
Before we leave, let me thank you again, Pastor Jeff,
thank you, sir.
And Mr. Tunde Rima and everyone else. We're most grateful for this opportunity and sharing your knowledge and skills and doing it for us free of charge. These are things that people will pay an arm and a leg for.
Yes,
we don't take it for granted. We thank you for your show of love, and
thank you, sir.
Pray that which you have shared with us will stay with us and will be impactful in our communities, in our lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. All right, thank you.